This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Bit of a special one today. This is something of a childhood ambition fulfilled. You see, I've spoken many times on this channel about how my first musical love was all of the kind of 50s nostalgia revivalist kind of music that was around in the 70s. You know, the whole Grease phenomenon, Happy Days, bands like Showaddy Waddy and so on. You know, it really kind of floated my boat back then. Still does now, to be honest with you. And then as we moved from the 70s into the 80s, it sort of shifted a little bit and became a little bit more of an earthy, rootsy kind of rockabilly kind of thing that became very popular. I guess most notably led by Brian Setzer and the Stray Cats. And in, I think, was it 1981 or thereabouts, they did this single, The Race Is On, featuring a lead vocal and a bit of guitar playing from their producer at the time, Dave Edmunds. Now, Dave Edmunds was one of those names that I kind of knew, but I didn't really know much about. I didn't know what he was about. I didn't know what sort of stuff he did. But, you know, on the strength of this single, which I absolutely loved. I've done the solo from that single, by the way, a couple of years ago, so go and take a look on the channel for that if you're interested in what's going on there, and a nice bit of rockabilly guitar playing. But on the strength of this single, I went out and bought a Dave Edmunds Best Of album, which sort of introduced me to what he was about. You know, it's that blazing version of Sabre Dance that he did with Love Sculpture, you know, I Hear You Knocking, Queen of Hearts, Girls Talk, all of those kind of big hits that he had back then. And then, you know, so I'm starting to get into this new artist that I've just discovered. Always a nice kind of feeling is when you discover a new artist and you've got their whole back catalogue to kind of go through. But he brought out a new album pretty soon thereafter. This one here, DE7th. Take a look at some of those chord shapes at the bottom there. Can anyone actually play those? I doubt it. But yeah, he came up with this album, and in the same way that the Stray Cats had turned me on to Dave Edmunds subsequently turned me on to a certain Mr. Springsteen, because the first track on this album is a Springsteen song. It's called From Small Things, Big Things Come. Bruce hadn't recorded it at the time. I think he subsequently has, but it was fresh to market, as they say, with the Dave Edmunds version, and for me that is still the definitive version of the song. And it featured a guitar solo that really set my little 15-year-old hairs on the back of my neck on end. There was something just electrifying about it and made me think, one day I want to be able to play that. And I tried figuring it out at the time on my horrible satellite Les Paul copy that I think I probably had at the time, you know, and couldn't get anywhere with it. And, you know, you kind of move on, you get on with life and other things get in the way. And then the other day, I had Spotify on, and it just, this song came up, From Small Things, Big Things Come. It came up in my Spotify feed, and I thought, oh, yeah, let's revisit that. Let's see if I can do now what I couldn't do when I was 15 and learn the solo from it. So, here's my attempt at it. And here's a little bit of an explanation about what's going on in that solo.
Solo explanation.
Okay then, first things first, let's take a look at the chords we're playing over. We're in the key of E major here, and it's these chords, E, A and B, the 1, 4 and 5 chords, and the relative minor of C sharp minor. Interestingly, we finish on an A chord, because that's what chord the vocals come back in on for the next part of the song. All of those chords there, or certainly the main three chords, the E, the A and the B, are played with that sort of kind of status quo, kind of boogie kind of thing going on. Throw all that together at around 160 beats per minute and you get something that goes a bit like this. So, there we go, that's what we're playing over. And if we just put the chords back up on screen again here, the solo can be divided into two sections, really. A long section and a short section. The long section is the first three lines there, up as far as the end of that C sharp minor chord. And then the short section is the last line, where we go E to the B to the back to the E again. Basically, the way I interpret this is that long section, the first 12 bars, is very, very much worked out in advance, composed, stays the same every time he plays it. And it's that last little bit there which is, kind of open to interpretation, shall we say, a little bit of improvisation. And over that first main part, we're going to be using mainly E major pentatonic in this area up here. So if you start your pentatonic box shape, pattern 1, at the 9th fret, you're going to get either C sharp minor pentatonic. You can regard this as the root note here, C sharp, or you can think of this as the root note here, this E note at the 12th fret. You can think of that as the root note, and that gives you E major pentatonic. Like that. And as I say, most of the licks in the composed part of the solo are based around that shape there. One or two other things going on, but we'll come to those as we get to them. We start off with kind of a lot of double stop type licks that if you played at a slower tempo, perhaps on a Strat neck pickup, it would sound quite Hendrixy. We'll go like this. Like that. So you can see there's lots of this kind of first finger double stop and then hammering on kind of stuff going on, very, very Hendrixy in another context. So at that point there, we start using some thirds. Basically, I've covered these in the past many times, but basically, if you think of the E major scale and arrange that in thirds, so the E note there, count up 3 notes of the E major scale, E, F sharp, G sharp, so the E and the G sharp would be paired up together. And then you just kind of track that up the scale, so the F sharp would be the next note, F sharp, G sharp, A, and so on. So you're getting those kind of things like that, and that's exactly what we've got here. So after the this is where we come into the like that, and then we start playing what arguably could be seen as more of an A major pentatonic, because we're on the A major chord now, with this lick here. Where are we? All of the same sort of ideas that we started off with, but now just kind of being played within that A major pentatonic pattern. The A major pentatonic and the E major pentatonic are both of those pentatonic scales are contained within the parent scale of E major scale. But what players often do is, break that overall major scale down into the pentatonics that you can find lurking within it to suit the chords that are being played over at any given time. That seems to be what's going on here. So far we've got and then back into the E chord again with some similar stuff that we had to begin with. But he does kind of like to, he likes to sort of thump on this open E string at this point here. And that sort of takes us to the point where we begin to restate the theme that we opened up with, because now we go back to, and then some more double stops, and that emphasis there on that note there, that C sharp, that's where we're hitting the C sharp minor chord. And as I said, that chord there, that C sharp minor, marks the end of that long section of the solo, and then we go into something else to finish it off with. So I'll just play everything that we've got up to this point nice and slowly. And there endeth the composed, worked out in advance, stays the same every time he plays it section of the solo. What we do now over this final line here, E to B and then back to E again, is we get a little bit bluesy. We just come down here to the E minor pentatonic. Now he said, E minor pentatonic, why are we playing that? We're in the key of E major. Well, yes, but you can play an E minor pentatonic in the key of E major, and it will give you a bluesy kind of tang to what's going on. So what he does here is something like that kind of stuff. I'm being a bit vague here on purpose, really, because so is he. I'm going to link to two versions of the song. The actual version that appeared on the album DE 7th, and not a live version, but it's kind of a live version. It's off a TV show that you may remember from the early 80s in the UK called OTT, Chris Tarrant and all of that. So on that performance there, it's like he's singing and playing live his guitar parts, but the rest of the band are miming. You'll notice that there's no mics on anything else, or the horn players on the track aren't too troubled by kind of playing into a microphone. But his vocal performance and his solo is subtly different from the recorded version, and all he does is just kind of scoot down to this end of the neck and go. That kind of stuff. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's basically just, okay, I've got the composed part of the solo out of the way, now I'm just going to kind of wind things up with a little bit of bluesy stuff like that, and that is indeed what he does. So I got it pretty close to the recorded version on my take on the solo, closer than he did on that TV performance anyway. So get the main composed part of the solo, kind of as per the tab, and then just get kind of wind things up by coming down here and having a little bit of minor pentatonic blues fun, really. So that is what's going on in the fantastic solo from Dave Edmunds, From Small Things Big Things Come, written by Bruce Springsteen, and a lot you can learn from this about kind of mixing minor and major pentatonics, double stops, that sort of Hendrixy kind of thing, thirds, all good stuff. So, now you know what to do. Go away and have some fun with it. And as always, you'll find a full tab in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing the solo, that explanation you've just seen there, and a jam track to play along with yourself. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address, link in the description. $3 or £2.50 a month gets you access to all of these additional resources that go along with these YouTube videos. A massive, massive thank you to each and every one of you who support me in that, or any of the other ways, all of which are linked down below in the description. And that is pretty much it for today, folks. Thank you so much for indulging me in fulfilling this childhood ambition. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not leave me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday 5 PM UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars and a whole host of other things. Great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.